Hi folks, Mrs. Hines here. So we're in the process of making our games, and last time you should have used one sprite and had it move with the arrow keys. So if I press the up arrow, it's going to change Y by positive 10, versus if I use a down arrow, it's going to change Y by negative 10. You'll do the same thing for left and right, except for it's change X. In the right direction, it's a positive X, and in the left direction, it's a negative X. You can go a step further and write more code to say that when you're going to the right, have it look like it's walking. And I did this by having more than one costume. So for the cat, for example, if I go under costumes, what I did is I took this one costume here and I two-finger touched on it and I duplicated it and then I mirrored imaged it. So this will be my costume for the right. This is my costume for the left. The next step is perhaps you want to have your cat avoid obstacles. So you might want to bring another sprite in from the library, for example, or you can save one off of the computer. So if I want to have my cat avoid the bat, I'll bring the bat in. And I want this bat to have a script that it's going to fly down from the sky. So I'm going to start off by using a green flag and a forever loop. And under motion, I'm going to have it go from one location and glide to a different X and Y coordinate. So for example, if it went from a very positive Y, so say 400, and glided down to a negative 400. If I were to run this set of code right now, the bat would fall in the same location over and over again. That's not really what I want for this particular game. I want it to be a random X. So that's where under operators, you can actually have the computer pick a random number. So I'm going to choose between negative 300 and positive 300. And I'll put that in for my X's. So now, it's starting to look more like a game. I'm able to control my cat, and then the bat is falling from the sky. Now, of course, you guys know how to slow this down. So if I wanted to take a longer amount to glide down, I would just increase that number here, and that's great. Now, for instance, maybe I want to avoid the bat, but I want to hit it with an apple. So this apple, I want it to follow my cat. And to do that, I'm going to go under control, and I'm going to use a forever loop with an if-else statement. So what I can say is that I always want it to go to the location of where my cat is. So I can actually do that by adding sensing. In sensing, you can go down further and have the X position of a certain sprite. I'll drag that out here, and I'll need two of them, one for the X and one for the Y. Now, you would think you would just put it in here, but if I do that, you'll see it'll go right on top of my, and I actually want to change this because I want it to follow my sprite 1. But if I were to put this inside my X and my Y, and I run the code, it'll put the apple right on top of my cat. So you see, I can still move my cat, but the apple's kind of in the way. So I would like it a little bit off to the side, and that's where I'm going to use my operators. So if I drag this, I can actually say, hey, I want the X position plus something. I'm not really sure what that something is yet, so you can guess and check and kind of figure it out. So 40 wasn't big enough, whereas 90, that looks actually not too bad. So maybe I'll try 80. So that seems to work okay. So now it'll follow me. I'm going to do the same thing under if. So if I touch, say, the space bar, it'll glide across the screen. So let me grab my space bar under sensing. And should click right in there. And again, I could say, hey, go to the position, the Y position of my sprite. Drag that in for Y. And the X, I'm just going to make this a really positive number, like 400. So now when I run my code, my apple will follow my cat, and if I hit the space bar, it'll go across. Pretty cool, right? So now I'm going to leave it up to you, and you can write another set of code here. And I want you to see if you can figure out how you can get this for if the apple is going to be touching the other sprite. What should happen to that sprite? Or the apple even. So you can use under sensing. I should be on my apple. If it's touching that other sprite, maybe something happens to the apple. So if it's touching the bat, what happens here? So if you can do all that, awesome. Make sure that you're saving frequently. Make sure that you have at least one character that's falling randomly, one character that's moving with the keys, and one character that, or sprite rather, that is following another character, and it's used to launch at across the screen. Make sure that you save frequently, and best of luck.